This is the Sean Hannity Show podcast.
Up next, our final roundup and information overload hour.
All right, news roundup, information overload as we come to you from beautiful Las Vegas, and really looking forward to seeing all of you tonight at the Orleans Arena with my buddy Lee Greenwood. We have a good show. We're going to talk politics, celebrate a little freedom and fun. Craig Campbell's there tonight. It's just going to be a great, great night. I told you earlier in the week the comments of our FBI director, James Comey. Now, remember, there was a controversy over comments that Obama made on 60 Minutes when he said, Hillary didn't compromise national security. And the following Monday, they were backtracking based on what we know now. But a lot of people took that as a message being sent by the president to the Justice Department, to the FBI. We don't really care what your investigation comes up with. We don't want you to go forward. Now, also this week,
answering 911 calls, but avoiding the informal contact that keeps bad guys from standing around, especially with guns. I spoke to officers privately in one big city precinct who described being surrounded by young people with mobile phones held high, taunting them when they get out of their cars. They said to me, "We feel under siege and we don't feel much like getting out of our cars." And so the question that's been asked of me is, are these kinds of things changing police behavior all over the country? And is that what explains the map and the calendar? The honest answer is, I don't know. And I don't know that explains it entirely. But I do have a strong sense that some part of the explanation is a chill wind that has blown through law enforcement over the last year. And that wind is surely changing behavior.
And Director Comey said, I've spoke to officers privately in one big city precinct and described being surrounded by people with mobile phone cameras held high, taunting them the moment they get out of their car. They told me we feel like we are under siege and we don't feel like getting out of our cars. Now, this is what people have been calling the Ferguson effect. Now, finally, the president addressed the issue of violence in big cities like Chicago earlier this week. But so we have all of this going on. We have the issue with 60 Minutes. And why all of a sudden did the president now summon the FBI director to the White House for a meeting? Now, maybe it's just perfectly legitimate. Maybe the timing is coincidental. But apparently, according to the American Thinker, they're saying that James Comey holds the future of Hillary's campaign in his hands, and the FBI investigates her handling of classified information, whether she violated laws with the private server and all of those issues. Michael Schmidt of the New York Times writes in a speech last Friday, Comey challenged that interpretation, suggesting it distorts important reality of what the authorities have achieved in the past 25 years of bringing the crime rate down, talking again about the Ferguson effect, etc. So I don't know what's going on here. Now, add to this, we had the death of a New York City police officer, another police officer death, in this case, Officer Randolph Holder. And then the weekend after the killing of the officer, you have Quentin Tarantino out there saying, well, I'm a human being with a conscience. He's at an anti-cop rally. And he says, if you believe there's murder going on, you need to rise up and stand up against it. And I'm here to say that I'm on the side of the murdered. It was a cop that was just murdered. This was an anti-cop rally. Anyway, here to go through all of this together, we have Eric Guster, civil rights attorney, the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, author of the brand new book, The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.
Every cop that I talk to, Eric, they believe and they will tell me that there is a Ferguson effect, that they are afraid to do their job. They are afraid that there's too many people that'll be rushing to judgment, like in the case of Darren Wilson versus Michael Brown, and they do not want to do the job with the passion they once had. That's just a fact.
There are some cops who are afraid of doing their job. However, they shouldn't be, because if they're doing their job properly, it won't be an issue. The Ferguson effect is real, where people are pulling out camera phones, and they are extremely important. When you look at cases like the Spring Valley High attack, where this SRO pulled this girl out of a chair and threw her across the room. You look at the case of Walter Scott, where this man was shot in the back. So without camera phones, the narrative would have been a lot different. Now, what you said, you mentioned the Michael Brown case, which I have never agreed with what happened in that case. As far as
hands up,
and all that.
Hands up, don't shoot never happened. But that was a false narrative that was advanced by people with an agenda. This police officer had no choice after this guy fought for his gun after having robbed a store and then charging at him, as the eyewitnesses described. His career is over. Cops watch that. We don't know yet what happened in Freddie Gray's case. There's going to be 6 separate trials, but people have rushed to judgment there. This president rushed to judgment in the Trayvon Martin case. If I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. He rushed to judgment in the Cambridge Police Acted Stupidly case.
Freddie Gray is different, Sean. They threw him in the back of the truck and did not secure him.
But don't cops have the right for the don't cops have the presumption of innocence like everyone else?
They do. They do.
No,
absolutely.
Okay, so they may not have done anything wrong when all is said and done.
That's why police officers should have body cameras and cameras to show everything.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm with you.
But it protects the officer as well. And you in the Freddie Gray case, that's different because someone did something wrong and he ended up dead.
Well, then you don't believe in the assumption. Wait, stop for a second. No evidence has been presented. No trial has occurred. You're jumping the gun and claiming that they're guilty, so you don't believe they should have the assumption of innocence.
Sean, you didn't listen to me. I said that someone did something wrong, he ended up dead. Whether it's a criminal offense or a civil liability.
Well, there was one report at the time that he might have been banging back and forth on his own against the back of the van. I have no idea what happened because I wasn't there, but we don't know until evidence is presented at a trial. Just like let me go to Reverend Peterson. Just like in the Trayvon Martin case, when you had the one eyewitness that put Trayvon Martin on top of George Zimmerman, grounding and pounding his head into cement, that changed the trajectory of that case and what people believed about it.
You know, Sean, all honest people in this country, never mind the color, they know that what's happening to the police officers around the country is wrong and is unfair. The problem is that the president has created an environment that has given black Americans who are unwilling to follow the law an excuse to disobey police officers and get in trouble. And when they get in trouble, the officers are blamed for it. We saw a good example of a black girl in a classroom. The teacher had asked her to leave. She would not leave or turn her phone off. They called in the administration. The administration couldn't do anything with the girl, so they called a police officer in, and she wouldn't even obey what the officer asked her to do. And on the video, you could see her punching at the officer, and he had no other choice but to take strong action against that girl. And it's been reported that she's living in a foster home. And so you have a lot of angry black children, as I write about in my brand new book, The Antidote, who are coming from homes where they're already angry because they don't have fathers there. The mothers are stressed out. And instead of telling these girls and boys the right thing to do, Barack Obama is creating one crisis after another one in order to redistribute power and wealth. And then you have the quote-unquote professionals in the black community who, due to their racist attitude toward white Americans, are allowing these black children to be used for personal gain. My concern is that if we don't get a hold of this really fast, really quick, we got to have a situation in this country where we will not be able to deal with, and the ones who are going to be hurt the most and first will be the black youth in our country, because we can't have lawless children running around attacking people, knocking out white folks, going after the officers when they are trying to do their job. And a lot of these kids are lying about being attacked by police officers. We did a on the street thing, and there was a black guy I talked to. He said, the police chased me down, knocked me down, and called me the N-word. And I asked him, well, were you running from the cop? At first, he didn't want to admit it, but he said, yeah, I was running. I'm trying to get away. And I said, well, so they had no other choice but to take you down once they got you. And he admitted, yes, these people who are carrying on like this are liars. They're not honest because they want to get away with committing crimes. It's a bad situation for America, and especially for the black youth.
May I respond to that, Sean?
Yeah, that's why you're on the program, sir.
Police often, well, I can't say often, sometimes police lie as well. When you look at the Walter Scott case, this police officer lied about the evidence in that case. He put a taser by Walter Scott's dead body that he just shot in the back several times. So lying occurs on both sides. That's why it's very important for us to get cameras everywhere so that we can see everything.
No, it's very important.
Young lady in South Carolina.
It's very important.
Case, I'll let you talk. Let me finish. In this case of the South Carolina case, this young lady, yes, she was defiant. I agree with you on that. But that gives that police officer, who was an adult and a person in authority, no right to assault that young lady like that. Now, if that was your daughter, your granddaughter, regardless of what she did, if she did not pull a gun, threaten to hit somebody, or start hitting someone, that type of assault was not warranted.
Well, Eric, you should be ashamed of yourself saying that, because, first of all, my daughter would not have acted that way with the teacher. She would have respected the order or the instruction of the teacher.
I did not say she would.
And turned off her cell phone. She would not. We would not. It would not have gone further than that.
Let me finish.
Because she would have been taught in the home how to respect and treat authority. So it never would have gotten to that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're right. Whatever, Jesse. You just
whatever was the truth. And if you truly cared about black people, instead of creating a false image of
Jesse,
the police,
I have a question. Has your daughter ever had a smart mouth?
What's your question?
Has your daughter ever had a smart mouth or a smart response to anything you said or anyone else has said?
My daughter may have had a smart mouth once in a while, but she's not going to disobey the authority of the
dragged her on the ground because you had a smart mouth and because you had a smart reply. Would that be warranted?
The situation we saw in the classroom went way beyond a smart mouth. That is total disrespect for authority.
No, but that's the whole point. It's authority. Therefore, now she was disrespectful to authority. I will give you that. But the police officer's actions were not justifiable because
I disagree with that.
Her cell phone.
Really? I disagree with that.
A person that put their cell phone.
All right, guys, whoa. Stop interrupting. Jesse, you go first.
Eric, I disagree with that. That girl was totally out of control to the point that the administration had to call in the police officer. And I have to tell you, we looked into her background. Her mother died recently. Her father's nowhere to be found. She was living in a foster home. And if you guys continue, Eric, to promote this type of lawless behavior, this girl could possibly end up on the street and just totally out of control, putting other black people's lives on the line, as well as police officers. This girl has never had a chance to know how to love, to know how to treat herself and others. And I think it's about time that people like you, Eric, and other black leaders stop blaming racism, stop blaming the white police officer or white people. They have nothing to do with this. We need to rebuild families. Fathers and mothers need to become responsible for their children.
I never blamed racism on this. Let me reply to that. I never blamed racism on this. First of all, school resource officers, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so I have plenty of experience with school resource officers. Part of the problem is that they are called in for minor infractions, and that is what causes so many young people to end up with criminal records. This was not a criminal offense.
What causes them to end up with criminal records is that they are committing crimes. If they had good fathers and mothers at home, I guarantee you this stuff would end. So why not change the focus and help these kids build character? That's what we're doing at Barnes every day.
That's why I have a mentorship program, because I am working on that.
The cops are the problem, that white people are the problem,
and she was wrong as well.
Not going to be able to help them. They need families. They need fathers and mothers. They need to feel love. These kids don't feel love. They feel like their fathers didn't care about them. They feel as though their mothers and grandmothers don't care about them. And when they go to people like you, Eric, you tell them that the police is the problem, or that racism is the problem, when that's
whoa. You can't say what I will speak on. That is not necessarily true. When I am representing a child, I give them the riot act. I get off into them about their behavior.
All right, guys.
One person's negative behavior does not.
I've got to end this here. I would let it go. It could go on for hours. I have no doubt. But we got to take a break. Eric, thank you. Reverend Peterson, thank you for being with us.